when you're down there at night, I mean, the sky is just incredible because you don't have any ambient lighting around that whole region. It is dark.
So with it being like that, are you getting more reports because people are just, they think that they're seeing something, but it's only one of the satellites or something?
Yeah, we're still getting reports. I think the numbers are probably about the same, if not maybe up slightly from last year. And I think that once people start getting up, because the weather here, again, is kind of give and take. I mean, this morning we had snow out. So some people are still staying in, but when the weather gets a little bit nicer, I'm betting by about the end of this next week, the weather is going to start getting into the 70s. You're going to have more people out doing yard work, the barbecues and stuff.
Yep.
Those reports are going to go up because typically here in our region, the number of reports start going up in like the May, June, July, up till like October. The reports are much higher. Now, in contrast, like if you're out in California, like where Barbara's at, you're going to see more even number of reports year round, just because of the fact of more temperate weather all year round.
Well, we were almost triple digits the other day here in California and Los Angeles in the Valley.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
It was well past 95 degrees when we went up into the Valley.
It's been in high 40s, low 50s most time, but they're calling for freeze tonight.
Yep.
Yep. So.
Oh, and where Jeff is, there's another interesting phenomenon that makes me think of underwater UFOs, and that is the luminous tide down there, or luminous algae, Jeff.
Oh, with the dolphins going through it? Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
So a friend of mine are sending me photographs, and it looks like there's a light shining from under the ocean up. So you can kind of see where people are getting that idea that there might be underwater UFOs down there.
And isn't that where, like, was it the island of Catalina or something's off the coast? Yeah.
Yeah.
We've
Catalina is one of the bigger regions for UFO sightings out there.
Yep.
And it's haunted too in there, so that's it's a shame. They have a thing where you can actually, on your birthday, you have to make a reservation in advance. You can go back and forth from Catalina for free, taking the boat. But I have yet to do that. Only been out here for like a whole bunch of years. But I keep forgetting that that's something I can do. So yeah, I need to do that eventually.
Now, if you've gotten any reports, people calling in saying that they've seen a UFO, with the way everything is for people having to stay in, or not out running around, and you do all your checking, and you say it might be something to go talk to the people, are you going to have to wait until all this is over with before you can go talk to them, or is there ways that you actually go and check it out?
Well, there's a number of things I could do. One is I'm very internet savvy, so like when I look over the region, Google Earth provides me a lot of information about the region. And what I can do is, if the witness gives me like a street address, like I think it was about a week ago, Henry, I had somebody, they sent me some video that they wanted me to review. And I said, just give me your street address. And I was able to drop myself down using Google Earth on their street area. And when I looked at the video, I could correlate the video to the area around their house, and I could get a good idea of exactly where they were looking at. So that was a great tool that minimized that, personal contact. That was one thing. Another thing I like to do is at times, I like to see the witness's face. I like to put body language back to, what they're talking about, because you can kind of see how, the person felt when they went through this experience. And most everybody out there is, being very honest. They're telling you exactly what happened. But then once in a while you get somebody who like, wait a minute, this is kind of like, it seems made up. And there are some people out there that do that occasionally. They make some stories up for whatever reason, and they turn a report in. So I like to see the body language. Well, one of the things I can do is I can do Skype. I can put the person on Skype, and we can do a video conference back and forth. So this way I can take and talk to them about what they experienced. I can even have them take their cell phone outside and even show me the region they were at via their cell phone using Skype if necessary. So I'd rather minimize that contact, not just for myself, but again, looking out for the protection of the witness, because we don't know if we've been exposed to something, not just doing UFO reports, but just in general by doing shopping, anything else, and we don't want to pass on to somebody else. So I want to minimize that if possible.
Now, have you seen other MUFON directories where they've been getting a lot of calls also?
Well, I've tried to look at some of them, but the problem is I don't have time to go through all of them. The other day, I just happened to go and look at some other reports, just as general reference back to what was happening here. I had some individuals reporting a certain type of sighting, and I wanted to see if there were correlating cases in other states. So I went back through, and it seemed like, most of the time that the individuals in the other states were basically getting the same type of reports we do, because I can look at the descriptions of what's in the report. Their reports are very similar. Now, the thing that I can't necessarily do is I can't see all the investigation process. Because, again, even though I'm a state director, they like to keep certain things at times private and keep it within that own state.
So has anything that you've heard of come in from anywhere across the states that is a credible sighting?
Right now, a lot of stuff I've been coming up with is stuff that can be explained. Now, some of the things, though, are a lot more challenging, though, Henry. I got a picture in the other day that was from a trail camera. And this trail camera, you saw a series of lights going across the upper right-hand portion of the picture. And when I saw them, like, yeah, wow, that's really unique. And here is a deer that was startled in the headlights, basically. It was like about 6 feet in front of the camera on the lower left-hand side. Now, the thing that I want to compliment the witness on, the witness is very, very cooperative. I said, I would like to come down and see it. But on the other hand, can you help me out? So what he did is he took the same trail camera that was still set up in the exact same location where the pictures were taken at. And he took daytime shots for me as reference. Now, what I did is I overlaid the daytime shots and the nighttime shots together so I could see where the lights were at in reference to the images. And you could see that where the lights were at, the foliage was so dense behind, out of view, it was in the dark that you couldn't see, that the lights wouldn't show through the trees whatsoever. The foliage was that dense, so it's telling me that, okay, these things have to be some sort of a light source in front of the foliage. Well, one of the things I had to think about, Henry, right away was also potentially paranormal.
Right.
Were these things potentially paranormal, like orbs? But these orbs were evenly spaced except for one gap in between the middle of them. There's actually 8 lights going across with a gap in the middle, 4 and 4. Well, this is where it also helped. I said, can you get me some information on the make and model of camera? Now, the one thing that happened is when he sent me the pictures, it didn't have any information, electronic information, stored within the picture regarding the make and model of camera and all the settings on it.
Okay, that's kind of odd right there.
Yeah, you're listening. Yeah. That's at times that's a red flag for me. When I get a photograph in, and the witness submits a photograph, there's software I can use to look at the electronic data. They call it metadata information within the photograph that tells me to make, the model of camera, the camera settings, whether the flash fired or not. And to me, all that information is very good, Barbara, because when I look at the photographs, it gives me an idea, for example, like on a trail camera, it tells me how far the infrared light should actually go out away from the camera. So how far of a distance should be illuminated by the camera. So I get kind of an idea of depth. Well, none of that information was there, and at times that's a red flag. But when I zoomed in on a photograph, I noticed a couple things about it. One is in the lower corner of the photograph, I saw almost like, when somebody takes a picture of a picture, that they don't quite get it lined up.
Right.
Well, a border, like a border.
A border.
Photo.
Yep. I saw almost like a border, and I thought, did this guy take a picture of his trail camera screen? And when you zoom in close, I could see the pixels of the LCD screen on his trail camera.
Ah.
So I sent him back a text and said, did you take a picture off of your trail camera screen? He goes, how did you know that? And I said, educated guess. But again, he was very honest. He says, yeah. He says, I didn't have a way to download it to send it to you right away, so I just did this. Well, he gave me the make and model number. And when I went in, I looked up how far out the infrared light should be going from the camera. I could see what the depth of field should be. And when I looked at the picture of the camera on there, Henry, I noticed something unique. The infrared lights on the front of the trail camera had rows of 4 with a gap in between and another row of 4.
Huh.
Well, the lights in the picture were 4 with a gap and 4. What happened was the deer, I think, was so close to the camera, it caused lens flare.
Oh.
And what you
Why
were
does it
seeing
sound
is,
familiar?
and you were seeing a reflection of the infrared lights on the camera in the photograph.
So essentially, it was the deer's eyes that were reflecting?
No, actually, the body was so bright it was unreal. It was that close. It had to be maybe 6 feet away. It was that close. But another thing you look for, too, on her, Jeffrey, is when you see lens flare, you look at the distance from, like a lot of people send me photographs that are beautiful photographs of sunsets. We get a lot of those. And they say, look, I didn't see this object when I took the photograph, but when I looked at it afterwards, I could see this object.
Yeah.
Well, what you look at is the distance from the center of the frame to the sun. And then you look at the distance from the center of the frame to the lens flare or the object you're seeing, and you most always find it's exactly the same. And what they're seeing is lens flare most of the time.
Well, that's what happens when, J.J. Abrams is out hiking.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, it kind of makes me wonder with these, because cameras have mirrors in them. And, when I take photo shots of the moon, there is that little ball that comes off at the end, which isn't planet Nibiru. It's just the lens reflecting from the moon light.
That you've got the sensor inside, too.
Yeah.